Hi, thanks for tuning in to your first video lecture for your social media marketing grad class. Glad class, that's actually a good name for it. We could call it a glad class. A few years ago I did the costumes for Pollyanna. Have you ever read that book? Be Glad? So, anyway, Terry Tangent. Okay, so back to our video lecture. You can see if you look at the bottom of the screen how long it's going to last. It's pretty brief. What I'm going to try to do with these video lectures is present some concepts to you that I then want you to go out, do a little more research on, make sure that you're up to speed on certain subjects. So these video lectures are really launch videos, attempting to launch you out into doing more independent research and then sharing resources that you find on our Facebook group chat and starting to apply those resources to the projects or exercises that you have that are coming up. As you've seen, hopefully by now from the syllabus and the activity grid, if you've reviewed it, the bulk of your grade in this class will be determined by your performance on the development and implementation of a social media marketing campaign. And you're going to be able to do that campaign on any project or initiative that you choose. If you're working in an existing business or for an organization and you'd like to formulate a social media marketing plan for that business, you'll be able to do that. If you're not sure what you want to do, I have some local businesses as well as some nonprofits that are ready and waiting for some help from a graduate student. So I can always help you find a project or an assignment. This class is about learning social media marketing techniques, but those techniques have to be applied in the context of a marketing discipline. One of the things that I found often when I went into small businesses and still when I do consulting is people get excited about a new project or a new concept or a new promotional idea and they just want to launch. And sometimes they end up doing things that they could do but not necessarily that they should do. So in order to determine whether or not the activities that you're going to undertake are actually wise, prudent to undertake, it's important to anchor back to the fundamentals of marketing planning. And they're often the same fundamentals that are framed in a marketing plan. So I thought it would be helpful today for this first video lecture to kind of go through those fundamental elements of the marketing planning process, just give you a quick refresher. For some of you I know it's going to be, yeah, we remember this all. But then what I'm going to want you to do is go out to the internet, do some Google searches, find some articles on the fundamentals of marketing planning. Specifically, you might find some fundamentals about making sure that as you launch social media marketing campaigns, they're really aligned to meet business needs or business objectives. I'm going to want you to read those articles, share them with each other on Facebook, and start to consider what you're learning as we begin to set the stage for you to develop your own marketing plan that'll be due in a few weeks. So first, with any business starts the mission. A good business has to understand what it's trying to achieve, the mission that it's trying to accomplish. And sometimes that can be a broad organization mission. It may be within just a department or an area that you're working in. I'm going to be okay with you framing that mission in whatever context, again, makes sense. The next thing you need to do is you need to be clear about what your marketing objectives are. What are you trying to achieve that's measurable? And this is probably the thing that is, I think, most essential. Before you start any campaign, you need to be clear about what you're trying to achieve and how you're going to align the activities that you undertake with those goals or those objectives. For example, is your objective to acquire new customers? Is it to increase brand awareness? Is it to increase the lifetime value of a customer, the amount a customer spends? Is it a call to action? Is it an attempt to create a short-term promotional gain within your business? It's important to be able to articulate marketing outcomes that you're trying to achieve in a measurable way, and it may be binary. They may be 0 or 1. Yes, I achieved it. No, I didn't achieve it. That would be fine if you framed it from a binary perspective as well. But you have to understand what you're trying to accomplish, and then that helps you choose those activities that in fact might help you achieve those goals. You're going to need to make sure that anything you do from a marketing process aligns with your brand. And you're going to see when you watch the next video as we start to talk a little bit about your personal brand and the voice that you want to create for yourself in your personal blog, that branding has to be considered at all levels, certainly of a social media marketing campaign. You have to think about your organizational brand, brand mark, brand image, brand associations that you're trying to create. and ensure that any social media campaign that you have aligns with that. And there was a great posting posted on our Facebook group about relevancy of brand in social media campaigns and how sometimes that is really changing in the world of social media. Great article to read if you haven't already, that's out there on our Facebook page. One of the things you have to decide as a good marketer is what tactics are best suited or best aligned with your goals or objectives once you have them clearly defined. And often there's far more tactics that you could ever implement realistically in light of your resources that you have as an organization. And what's the most scarce resource that any organization has? Believe it or not, it's usually not money, it's time. Very often time, the amount of time we have to carefully and thoroughly execute a marketing initiative is our greatest constraint. So what that means is that as you start to think about developing a social media marketing campaign, as you think about developing a blog and maintaining a blog, doing good upfront analysis on the time that you think it's going to require to implement those tactics is essential. And then, making sure that you track your time and that at the end of any process, once you've implemented a campaign, you've got a way to evaluate and measure not only the performance of that campaign in light of the objectives, but that you evaluate the time that you took. Was there the right return on effort, ROE, on that plan that you implemented, as well as ROI? So anyway, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm not going to review the 4 Ps now, and in many instances when we start to talk about blogs and social media marketing, the 6 Ps are important. So price, promotion, place, product all have to be considered. The other 2 Ps in a retail environment, whether it's a virtual retail environment like a blog where you might be selling advertising, or an e-commerce store, or a bricks and mortar store, is, as you'll probably recall, presentation and personnel. All right, so your mission after watching this brief video is to go on out to the internet, start finding some what I would call refresher resources for marketing planning, the discipline of planning, and if you can find some resources specific to sort of do's and don'ts of social media marketing campaigns and framing them in a way that is well aligned with business objectives and an efficient use of resources, those would be good resources for you to start to mine and look at and read. There's a tremendous amount of reading I'm expecting you to do independently and on your own. One of my objectives for this class is for you to really develop a passion for, hopefully, going out on the internet and self-teaching, finding resources, sharing them, participating in your own dialogue, an internal dialogue, as well as sharing with others as you find ideas or need to go out and find best practices. So that's it for this video. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to also record a quick video that you can watch on the blog assignment that's due and the process of creating a creative brief, which is due to me by the end of this week as well as you start to work on your blog. So I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.